Hi, my name is Josie Pimlott, and this is my presentation on differentiated instruction. What is differentiated instruction? Differentiated instruction means changing the way that the way you teach to be able to meet the needs of every student in your classroom. To be able to accomplish that, teachers need to not only modify what is being taught, but also how it is being taught. Differentiated instruction is not a single strategy. It is a variety of evidence-based strategies. There are two general principles that teachers need to become familiar with when applying differentiated instruction. One is ongoing assessments, which means that teachers not only need to assess students at the end of the unit, but also before and during the teaching of the unit. By doing this, it allows teachers to be able to gather the information that is needed to be able to provide the most effective instruction. Assessing students at different times also allows teachers to formulate and fine-tune the instruction that's needed for each student's needs, but it also allows them to design more approachable and engaging tasks. This assessment can be formal, such as a quiz, or it can also be informal, such as maybe like an oral report. Flexible grouping is another general principle, and it's a way for teachers to be able to figure out what the learning needs of all the students are. There are a variety of different types of grouping that can be used. Teachers can use whole groups, such as the entire class. They can also use small groups, which consist of 6 students or less, or they can even use just pairs. If they decide to use pairs or small groups, then they need to decide what type of grouping they want to do, whether it be homogeneous, which means grouping students that are on the same level or have the same needs so that they can work on specific interests or tasks, or heterogeneous, which consists of students with various interests or various learning needs. This type of grouping allows each student to be able to showcase their own strength and knowledge to the group. And flexible grouping is a great way for students to be able to work with classmates that might either have the same skills or possibly they may possess different skills than what they have. How do teachers differentiate instruction? When teachers differentiate instruction, they create a curriculum to adhere to the needs of their students. However, before they can do this, they have to get to know them in terms of their readiness, their interests, and their learning profile. A student's readiness refers to their skill level and knowledge about a given content. Readiness can vary across subjects, and it can even be influenced by his or her background, their life experiences, and even possibly if they have learned it at a previous time. Interest is whatever arouses the student's curiosity or what might inspire them. A student's learning profile is how they prefer to learn new information or skills. For example, are they visual learners, or do they prefer hands-on training or learning? It can also refer to any environmental factors, such as are they easily distracted, or whether they may even have trouble working under the bright lights of the classroom. There are three main instructional elements that coincide with differentiated instruction. These elements are content, process, and product. Content, which is the knowledge and skills that the student needs to master. Process, which also includes the activities that the student will use to master the content. And finally, the product, which is the method that the student will demonstrate what they have learned. When differentiating content, teachers need to change up the curriculum for each of the students' needs. When differentiating the process, teachers vary the activities that the students will use to help master the concepts and skills that they need to achieve. And when differentiating product, teachers can offer different ways for students to demonstrate what they have learned. How do teachers prepare their students and their classmates for differentiated instruction? One way that teachers prepare their students in classrooms is by having communication with both the parents and the students. This allows teachers to discuss what they expect in their classroom and what parents and students can expect. With parents, it is a good idea to establish good parent-to-school relationship. This will help provide a great educational outcome for their student. School personnel does, however, need to take into consideration the diversity of today's families. Taking into consideration their cultural, their economic, and their racial background is crucial in maintaining your relationship with parents. Some ways that this can be accomplished is possibly by providing written materials in the parents' native language if necessary, also using simple wording as opposed to professional jargon, and always remember to reply to any requests from parents in a timely manner. When having a face-to-face with a parent, be aware of that parent's schedule and when they are available to meet. Always remember that everybody has different communication styles. So, personal touch, personal space, touch, and eye contact can be difficult for some people. Communicating with students also means letting them know exactly how the classroom or what the classroom will be like and why differentiated instruction will be beneficial for them. Creating a safe and supportive learning environment is key in differentiated instruction. Managing the floor space is important. Key pieces of furniture, such as the teacher's desk, should be out of the way. The student's desk should be arranged in a way that makes it easier for the teacher to be able to monitor the students and to be able to walk around comfortably. Tables instead of desks should be used for small groups. This allows the students to be able to discuss and collaborate with each other better. Posting activities that are occurring in the classroom on bulletin boards can be beneficial and helpful to students, and making materials that students will be working with easily available to them is also very important. They should be easily accessible without disturbing others. Teachers also need to establish rules and procedures in the classroom for proper behavior management. Establishing these will provide guidelines that will make it able for students to monitor their own behavior. Students may not understand exactly how to work in small groups, so they have to be taught how to. Making their task engaging and meaningful will be the most effective way to teach children on how to work in small groups. Because students are often working in small groups, their noise level needs to be appropriate as well. Defining and describing the appropriate noise levels would be extremely helpful. In a differentiated classroom, students are often moving from one type of activity to the other, so sometimes that transition can be disruptive. Establishing procedures on how to move from one activity to another can be beneficial. Things like organizing materials so that the students can easily retrieve them, and telling students where their next activity and in what group they will be in will make transitioning just that much easier. Sometimes when a student needs help and the teacher is preoccupied helping another student, that student needs to realize that help isn't going to be readily available. So it is important for students to become independent learners. Some strategies for students to use when they need help can be asking another classmate for help, or possibly placing a place card with a question mark on their desk, and that will signify to the teacher that they have a question. Doing this will help reduce the interruptions. Managing time can be difficult in a differentiated classroom because students work at different paces. Having additional tasks or activities such as reading silently or writing in your journal will minimize wasted classroom time. And also developing procedures on how to turn in assignments will also help limit distractions and maximize learning time. What does differentiated instruction look like in the classroom? There are different, remembering that making small changes at first will help keep a teacher from feeling overwhelmed. This is a long and tedious process and can be sometimes difficult to implement. Collaborating with other teachers will make this process so much easier. Okay, there are common classroom practices that are not examples of differentiated instruction. One example is if a teacher delivers instruction primarily by just lecturing. Why is this not differentiated instruction? Because kids learn in different ways. Not everybody learns the same. Some people learn a little slower than others. So what can be done differently? One type of advice is to talk a little and then have them do an activity. It can be something just simple and easy, or it can be something that they can do in a group. Another example of something that is not differentiated instruction is grouping students at the beginning of the year based on what their scores were on their achievement test last year. This is not differentiated instruction because it doesn't, while grouping students that are the same learning level can be good, it does not allow students to learn from each other. So what can be done differently? Grouping students into mixed groups would be more beneficial because it will allow the students to learn from each other, and then they are able to then teach each other, and this will make their learning experience even better. And finally, when a teacher gives bonus points for classroom participation is not differentiated instruction. Giving a student bonus points for participation does not show that the student has an understanding of what they are learning. So something you can do different is possibly giving bonus points at the end of a quiz. That would be a better way to understand what the student has learned. So thank you for listening to my presentation. Have a great week.